Aside from being crawlers, Argentum the Phoenix and Lily Yellow the Ecto, they share something in common. And that is, they're both in a situation of tires that are pretty good, but not great. Yellow's on these stretched Mad Beasts, which are doing all right. And the OE tires on the Phoenix aren't exactly stellar, but as far as an OE tire goes, they're excellent. But we're going to see if we can maybe improve their situation a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a couple sets of tires. Got some JConcepts Tusks and JConcepts Hunks. We have a full set of each, right over here and right over here. And we're going to mount those up on this set of alloys and this set of steelies. It should still remain pretty fair because I threw them on the scale, and these wheels are 6 grams heavier per wheel than these. So as far as I'm concerned, that's plenty close. They should also have around the same offset, maybe a little more negative offset on the alloys. But anyway, I think we will start with the Tusks on the Phoenix and the Hunks on Liliella, and then we might do a switcheroo back and forth, and we'll see how we go from there. But as I see absolutely no need to watch me screw all these screws in to put these things back together, we're just gonna zoop through that, and the next time you see it, these two guys will be out on the rocks. So that wasn't 100% true. This is only fast forwarding a few moments into the future. But while taking these out of the plastic, they are quite soft. Initial impressions of these, even with foams in them, is, I mean, they are tacky to the touch. Both sets, the Tusks and the Hunks. The Hunks over here, I mean, turn this a little, like, so far, so good. They definitely feel good, and they do look good. I'm a big fan of JConcepts tires. I really like the Scorpios that are on Jolly Green, and I have high hopes for these as well. Then just another quick note, if just for the look and the sound of it, it's like some ASMR stuff. To answer an unasked question that some might have out there to compare the two, identical foams. It's the same foams on both sets, identical. Definitely what I would consider to be medium. They feel pretty good. The Hunks are non-directional. So if you flip one around, it's just the same story. It's just the same tire. The Tusks, on the other hand, are mildly directional. You have this block on the outside rib. If you flip those around, now that block faces down. So these are directional, so you have to take note when mounting them to mount one as a left and one as a right. I don't know if it matters which direction they're facing when in operation, but that's just something to take note of before mounting. I would also say that compound-wise, they feel the same, but I think the Hunks might be a little thinner in terms of the sidewall and the main belt of the tread. There is no belting here whatsoever, so probably not great for high KV. With how soft the sidewalls are on the Hunks, they basically stick together. You can. This is like Pitbull alien compound stuff here. These are really soft and really sticky. So again, high hopes. And on to vending these. Mounted up. I would say the Tusks went on a bit easier than the Hunks, just because the Hunks are so soft. So I'm already thinking, before even mounting any of them up, these are definitely better suited to the Phoenix, and these are definitely more suited to the Ecto, because these are soft, really soft. And the Ecto at barely 5 pounds should probably manage it. It was tough to get them into the beads on these Steelies because these are just so soft and so sticky. They wanted to stick to themselves. It was like trying to mount tape. These went on a lot easier, not so much because of the style of wheel, just that they're a little more firm. They have more sidewall support, probably due to the sidewalls being a little bit thicker. Anyway, I'm going to get them mounted up, and we'll go from there. Before bolting to the trucks, I wanted to weigh them, the stocks versus what they'll be replacing. And each truck was gaining about 40 grams per corner, which could perhaps be more significant than the tires themselves. Now, while my reason for a tire swap on the Phoenix was not a cosmetic one, I don't think it could be argued that this doesn't look better than the OE tire. This looks significantly better, at least in my opinion. And there is, now that they're mounted up, there's even more sidewall lug than I thought on the Tusks. They look like they're going to do great on this rig, and I'm super hopeful at this point. Now, let's see how Lil Yella the Ecto improves with some new rubber. Lil Yella now looking like a belly dragger with these big old, what are they, 4.75s on there. I mean, cosmetically, they look great, and if they perform as well as I hope they will, being so squishy soft, I think the capabilities of Lil Yella, which are already pretty good, are just going to be even more improved. I think there's still some suspension mess about that needs to be done. It could still sit just the tiniest bit lower in the front. I don't know what's stopping that lowering in the front. I have switched it to some fairly heavyweight oil to minimize body roll, but the front might be a pan art issue. It doesn't just quite want to sit as flat as I would like it to, but it's going to go out just as it sits right now, so I can have a baseline comparing the old tires to these, and we will see how it goes. And with that, we've finally got these tires touching rock and some dirt. Oblivion has been undergoing some construction. There's been quite a bit of course, construction going on. And these two guys, the first to test it out. Argentin using a little dig there to swing his front end around. Early impressions, I'm generally not one to gush about a product when it has 40 seconds of use, but these are tremendously promising. As I mentioned earlier, they are thin, so I don't know how much of a concern that will be over time. But in terms of how well they perform directly out of the plastic, we'll dig into the dictionary of words we shouldn't use and say that they are very, very good. Both the Tusks and the Hunks. The Hunks being a good bit taller than any of the tires previously mounted on Lil Yella. We get some nice pop-pops of those middle tread bars catching the front fenders under compression. And I'm still having a hard time training my brain to drive the one of 8 rigs that has straight axles. So all the times we're watching Little Yella struggle, blame not the tires nor the truck, but blame the guy wheeling it, because like right there, the pumpkin is just sitting on the rock. So I tend to have to use reverse, because resetting my brain to not take the line I just took in the portaled truck with significantly more ground clearance is something I continue to have issues with. But in terms of abilities to climb a steep angle on rock, I almost wish I could go back in time. I mean, I guess I can, but I would like to see the pure functional incline ability of Little Yella on these tires versus the tires that it's run before, because they made a dramatic difference in its ability to do that straight run up Oblivion. And though Argentum the Phoenix has only had one other set of tires, the stock tires, which, as I mentioned, are good but not great, this early on, the Tusks fall into the great category for me. They are tremendously well suited to the, I guess what I would call the stock configuration of the Phoenix. This Phoenix is essentially stock, and those Tusks do remarkably well. This is a section of obstacle which, as I mentioned, has been under construction, so you see the tires getting really dirty because I've been setting, what I call setting, the stones together by basically filling the obstacle with mud, which really cuts down on the amount of available traction even after it's been hosed down. So here they go up a steep, slick rock section, and basically no problem. There's a little section of rock which I, as a driver, get caught on fairly regularly, but it goes up that no problem. Digging around the corner, they're really good. The Hunk stands just the tiniest bit taller than the Tusk, and the Tusk is just the tiniest bit wider than the Hunk. I think the Tusk might have a little bit more, how should I phrase this, angular traction, like when you're trying to pull yourself up a steep face with the wheels turned hard. The tread pattern of the Tusk combined with how far the lugs wrap over, I think it does better at that. I think in terms of pure straight line traction, I think the Hunk might have it with those non-directional bars. For grabbing uneven surfaces, I say a little edge to the Tusk. I felt more in control on this section of rough side hill with the Phoenix than I did with the Ecto. And I think with their computed CGs, I think that mostly comes down to just raw traction. I'll have the CG sheets up towards the end of this. They're pre-sheets, and then they're sheets with the JConcepts fitted. And I'm, at this point, nothing but impressed by these tires. With how thin the sidewalls are, I was nervous, but it's so good. At the price point, I'm just going to go out and say, and of course, one man's opinion, but for these two rigs, I don't think you can get a better tire for the money. Yes, durability is still a question, and longevity is also still a question, but the JConcepts Scorpios are supposedly the same compound, and those have been on Jolly Green for months now, and that thing's got a 3300 kV Axe V2 in it. So if they can withstand that, I think these should do great over time. I was worried about Ecto's side hilling, because its side hilling is very good, but this tire is notably taller than the stock tires and the couple sets that I had tried on it before. It's the tallest tire that's been fitted to the rig, but there's no need to worry. They don't fold. They still give enough supple support on the sides. They did so well in my little bits of testing here, with plenty of side hill thrown in, that I couldn't even bring myself to unbolt the set from the Phoenix. Look at that squish, and bolt them up on the Ecto, because I think the tread pattern and the sidewall thickness, basically Hunks if you're under 6 pounds, and Tusks if you're over 6 pounds, just in general. They did so well. As I mentioned, here are the CG sheets for the Phoenix. Now here's the 4.39 inch CGH on the OE tires. Despite those tires being shorter than the Tusks, mounting the Tusks dropped that CG down to 3.87 inches. Oh, what's that? Half an inch? Right around half an inch? And I think that goes to the weight, because the Tusks with the alloys put on about 40 grams per corner, 160 grams total, and it's all low. And it's a very similar story for Lil Yellow. This was with the MSTs on the mixed rims, and it dropped it from 4.15 to 3.71. Once again, just short of half an inch. So you take that soft, supple compound, and you take the added weight of the rims, and they're phenomenal. I have no regret about either set, and I'm going to go on record now early saying that these are the tires. Argentum the Phoenix will be on those Tusks until they wear out, and then those Tusks will likely be replaced with Tusks. And the same story for the Hunks on Lil Yella. They are great. I'm pretty happy with most, if not all. I think I'm happy with all of the tire choices that I have so far. I don't see changing the tires on any rig, except maybe Colonel Mustard. I'll have to, maybe Colonel Mustard will audition the Tusks to see if he'll pick up a pair. But anyway, that's getting way off topic. That's it for this one. The Tusks and Hunks from JConcepts are both great. I slightly hesitate to recommend them because I can't give you anything definitive on durability or longevity. But in terms of straight out of the package, pure performance, they're great and they look good. And that's going to do it for this one. I just pushed it over 20 minutes. The usual yada yada, like, subscribe if you haven't. Check out Crawler Canyon on Instagram. And be sure to check in for the next one for more of my nonsensical ramblings. Thanks.